Hey there, Sovereigns. Monica Grace from cardreadingqueen.com here, and today's content is the biggest sign that your twin soul union is near. And I'm going to jump right into it and give you the full answer, and then we'll expand on it. So basically, the answer is that you are finding yourself breaking through your deepest wound or your greatest fear, which is basically the same thing. And so, the deal with this is that it's kind of like a video game. Your higher power, so God, the universe, spirit source, your creator, yourself, life itself, whatever relationship you have to the external world, so your higher power is not going to give you something that would be beyond your, I don't want to say comfort level, but they wouldn't give you something that you couldn't handle in terms of healing. So they're not gonna show you a wound before it's appropriate to show you and before it makes sense in essentially what I would call like a divine order. So you're going to get your healing opportunities really like smallest wound to biggest wound is kind of how I think of it. And then I think of it like levels of a video game. So if you're playing a video game, you're not going to tackle like the biggest wound you have on level 1. You're going to tackle a very small boss on level 1 or very small obstacles on level 1. And as you go along, you're going to up your skill level. And then as you go to level 2, level 3, and so on, you're going to have that higher skill level and you're able to handle more challenging stuff. So that's how I see the twin soul journey working. And what I have seen is that you're basically circling kind of like healing in a spiral. So, often you'll heal something. You'll heal an incident in your life or something that has triggered you in your life. And you'll heal it and you'll feel really at peace with it. And then a couple months later, it's almost like you're circling back to it. And you're like, I don't get why this came up. I healed this already. But what's happening is you're uncovering more layers of it. So it's almost, it's like an onion, like especially your biggest wounds are kind of like an onion in that you peel off each layer and you kind of keep going until you have no onion left. So that is how this healing journey works. That's how the ascension journey works. That's how the twin soul journey works. Really, I'm just saying the same thing like 3 different times. But that's how this works. It's like a spiral. And so where does that spiral lead to? It essentially leads to, it's almost like it's like water circling around the drain almost. What it's leading to is kind of like the vortex of your greatest fear or your biggest wound. It's like your biggest wound is at the center of this spiral. And you are going to circle in the spiral around until you get to that biggest wound, and then you pass through it, and then you are in your twin soul union, basically. And specifically, so it's not that you have to, I want to be clear. You don't have to heal everything that is wounding you to be with your twin soul. This would be specifically for a romantic partnership. So you have different spirals for each thing. So you have like a spiral for like having $1 million as well. If that's something that's aligned to you, you may not desire $1 million, but if that was something that was aligned to you, then you're going to have a spiral. And before you get $1 million, you're going to have to face your biggest fears around getting that $1 million. So it's the same with the twin soul. The twin soul, it's basically a desire for your ideal partner, for your person. And there is kind of like a divine order of wounding, and you will uncover layer after layer after layer. And each layer that you're uncovering is all going to be circling back to your biggest fear. And it's like each wounding that you're healing is meant to it's meant to prepare you to face this biggest fear. So what else can I say about this spiral? The other thing that this is something that I've kind of only recently understood. All of your wounding is basically it's points in your past where, and it could be depending on what you believe, could be your past of this life. It could also be past lives. So if you believe in past lives, then you're healing all of that too. So good luck. I'm kidding. But basically, all of those points that you felt triggered by, those were all places that instead of choosing love, instead of choosing alignment to yourself, instead of choosing peace, you chose ego, you chose control, you chose scarcity. What else? Yeah. So it's like at each point you chose to go the opposite of love. So you chose the opposite, and that's essentially what created the wounding, because what created the pain inside you, because you chose you chose not love, basically. So as you heal things, you have to choose love, choose peace, and choose joy at each of those points. So, I've been talking about my Facebook troll a lot on the more recent episodes, but it's like a very easy example to go to, because, for a long time I was choosing peace, and like at every point that I received a comment from him, I was choosing peace in many different ways. Like, so sometimes I would try to agree with him. Sometimes I would try to respectfully disagree with him. Sometimes I would try to ignore him. Sometimes I would delete it. Like, I was just trying to choose peace in all these different ways. And it's like with each one, I was healing a portion of that wound. But as, it really took... So eventually I did have to kind of face this guy down. And if you haven't heard the story, I essentially chose to meet him at his level, basically. So he was being very insulting to me, and he disagreed with me, and that's why he was insulting me. And so I basically decided to, we were in another comment thread that wasn't on my wall, and I decided to insult him back, essentially. Like, it sounds like a terrible thing, and it probably was, but that was where I was at, and I decided to insult him back on this particular thread, and it felt terrible to me. And so because it felt so bad to me, it really solidified my choice to choose peace. And so it was like before I was taking the actions and like trying to choose peace, but still feeling just that little thread of resentment and anger and frustration with this person. And then in that moment where I chose war with him, and it felt terrible, it really solidified my choice to just choose peace in every case. And it was like my energy like fully shifted into peace. And now I'm at a place where like I am not going to have anything but peace with this person. Like, I just refuse to engage with him on any level aside from peace. And as a result, he's not trolling me anymore. So that's really nice. He did try a couple times, but like I refuse to meet him at any level aside from peace. And so then he actually has not been commenting lately, which is great. Like I manifested that right out of my reality through my healing work. But yeah, that's basically how this works, is that as you heal a wound, it's the situation is gonna come up again, and you have to choose love instead of fear the second time around. And once you fully choose love and fully choose peace, fully choose joy in that situation, that's when it's fully healed. And so you can actually start to almost like map out your journey by figuring out what this deepest fear is. And that's something that I had some idea. I thought I knew what the deepest fear was, or like what that like moment was that I needed to heal. I thought I knew, and now I feel pretty confirmed in it, unfortunately. And it has taken me a while to explore this and figure out what that moment is for me. And so my situation is basically, and I've talked about this a lot in previous episodes as well. So definitely check out the last, if you want the full story on this, you would check out probably the last like 10 episodes, which sounds like a lot. I'm not trying to make you listen to 10 episodes of my content, but chronologically, it's been like the last 10 episodes or so that I've been talking about this. The short story is that when I was like 20 years old, I was dating a guy in college basically, and he just said something to me that triggered like all of my worst fears, all of them. And I pretty shortly after broke up with him, because, and the reason, and it sounds crazy, and it wasn't like an immediate breakup. Like I had to think about it and all this stuff. But what was going on there is he had just stepped on like a mine of my wounding. It was just like he stepped on a mine and it blew up. And he didn't do it on purpose. He just did it, and it just happened to be what he did. So that was it's like it just triggered so many things for me. And now that I have, like, at the time, all that I understood was like I didn't understand what was going on. All I understood was that what he had said just made me, it had created like such massive pain in me, which, first of all, that pain was all within me. All he did was trigger it. So it wasn't him that caused it, but I felt like he was the one who was causing it. I was projecting all my own pain onto him and onto the situation. So it triggered all this pain inside me that I couldn't work through. Like, I was just in so much pain. And so my answer to that was just to leave the relationship, was to cut it off. Now that I have this work, I have unpacked this moment like over and over again over the past like 3+ years. So now that I understand, I have seen like so many different angles of it. And it's really like, it's like my like 4 or 5 biggest wounds that I have, like, all converged on this one thing that he said to me. And so there were just like so much wounding that he had triggered just in that one thing. At the time, I didn't understand. All I knew was that this was super painful, and I couldn't believe he had done it or said it. And it was the end of the relationship for me. Like, I wanted the pain to stop. And then we broke up, and it did. It stopped, and it was a relief for a while. So the only problem with that is that the wounding was still there. So over the years, this whole thing kept coming back to haunt me. And now I've kind of broken through another layer of it, and for several days I was at peace with it, and I thought like, hey, maybe I actually broke through this all the way, and maybe I'm actually done with this. And if I'm done with this situation, then I'm completely done with this person as well. Like, I was very, very excited. And it, I've been, I guess, conversing with God. I've been conversing with my higher power, and basically, he said, no, it's not completely healed. So I was like, okay, great. So I will keep working on it. But that, I think as you do more healing work and as you start to unpack some of this healing, you will start to figure out what that moment is. Like, what is that moment? And the way I think about it is like, this particular moment was one where like, it was just like everything crosses, like, and I know I'm being a little cagey about the details. I don't want to share the details because they're just not important. And I want to like respect this person's privacy a little, at least, and my own privacy a little. But, it was like, it's just like all these like threads of wounding like converge. And it's almost like you have like a ball of yarn, and then you have a ton of the yarn tangled within itself in one of the sections, and you're kind of untangling it, but it's like this glob of yarn in the center of like your weaving the tapestry of your life, or even your wounding, if that's what you want to call it. And so it's like I keep like unwinding threads of this and pulling them out and being able to separate them. And this moment, just, it has so many layers to it. And so that's how I kind of know that it's like the big one. It's the one I have to heal. And then when I heal that, I think that will be like the end of my not the end of my journey with this, but I think that will really heal separation for me. The separation that I'm still experiencing right now. So I don't know. I've been working on it. I'm proud of myself and how far I've come. I see like the many layers of it, and I'm excited to keep going for it. And so I guess my point of that is to tell you that if you are looking for almost like a personal roadmap to your journey, you can look for the thing that you keep circling around. And so for me, some of the things that I've healed, one was like a childhood wound of just essentially being like abandoned by my father. Like I felt an abandonment, a rejection, a betrayal. Like it was actually like a number of different things wrapped up in that. So that was kind of the first big piece of this that I figured out, this particular event. And then I don't know, I figured out some other stuff about it, but then the most recent one was I figured out that the reason that it was so painful to me is because I had been placing my dreams on this person, and I thought that he was the one who held all my dreams, but in actuality it was me. Like, I'm the one who holds all my dreams. And it's like nothing outside of me can take away my ability to reach my dreams. Was kind of the next, another, I don't want to say the next big piece I healed, but another huge piece that I healed from this. And apparently there's still more. But it was like, so for me, I think the wounding, it really represents they're really threads from like all 6 core wounds that I talk about. And the 6 core wounds I talk about are control, abandonment, rejection, betrayal, shame, and injustice. So those are the 6 core wounds. You can check out the core wound wheel. It's at cardreadingqueen.com/freebies if you would like to sign up to see that. But yeah, it's like it feels like I've untangled the abandonment piece, the rejection piece. I think I've untangled that. I know there's still a huge piece around injustice. Another thing that I was upset about was like, I was just upset, like, if this was how, like, and I was upset with God and also the person. I've been very upset with this person for, like, over the years. I've been very angry at this person, but I was really upset with God, and just, you know, I was kind of in an argument with God of like, if this was where this relationship was going to end, why did you even give it to me at all? Like, I would have rather never have had this relationship than have had it end where it did and continue to be something that I had to work through for like years and years and years. And I was kind of like blaming God for the pain I've felt over it. Because I was even saying like, you know, this relationship, like any good from this relationship, it is like, it like pales in comparison to the amount of pain that the relationship has ultimately caused. And so I was just like, I was arguing with God. I was trying to be right with God. I felt deep regret. I felt deep injustice. And so that's really the wounding thread. And, you know, I think there must be a part of me that's not over that, I think. So yeah, so there's a lot that I still have to unpack with that situation. And I think that if you reflect on this, you are probably going to find your own spot where you're going to find the core of your wounding. And so, you know, the solution is continue doing your healing work, continue unpacking. If you're experiencing that moment, you know, ask your higher power to send you a situation where you can reveal more of what the wounding was around that, so that you can heal it. And then it's really like you can kind of see yourself, and especially as you go further down the journey, you can really see yourself like circling around the same thing over and over. And that knowledge, I think, can be very powerful in that you can then kind of focus on that and focus on healing that thing in order to heal kind of everything. And you know, with that, for me, with this particular situation, it's like I keep like re-experiencing the situation, and like every time I re-experience it, it's a different aspect of it. And so that's another way that I know that this is kind of the big one. It's like the big ultimate boss in the video game that I'm gonna have to defeat. So that is my experience, and I hope that this was helpful to you on your journey. I hope it's helpful, especially if you're frustrated and wondering like, when am I going to come into union? When am I going to feel that full peace? And like, where is this journey going? So the journey is going to, the journey never fully ends. You know, you're still, because like once you are in union, there's a lot of partnering that happens. So the journey doesn't end, but it definitely changes. And so you really have to work through all your own personal stuff before you get into that union. And it makes sense, right? Because if you don't do that, you're just going to keep getting triggered by it. And it's not really, it's just not like a very compassionate thing to have that trigger coming up for you over and over again if you haven't healed it to a level where you will choose love instead of fear when encountered with it again. I hope this was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and have a beautiful and blessed day.
Wishing you could get solid information on how to navigate your twin soul journey? Make sure you check out my book related to this episode called Your Twin Soul Journey, A Guide to Experience Eternal, Unconditional, Harmonious, Embodied Love and Union with Your Divine Partner. In the book, you'll learn the cornerstone concepts you must understand to embark on this journey, the truth about the twin soul stages, and my own personal roadmap to finding your unique way through this journey, how to heal quickly through any separation blocks you are facing on your twin soul journey, and answers to all your most pressing questions about twin soul purpose, twin soul telepathy, and twin soul myths. You can find the book, Your Twin Soul Journey, at all the major retailers, or find links in the description to learn more. And don't forget to check out the rest of the books in the Twin Soul Hearts and Union series.